everyone, I'm Karrie Evenson and welcome to Karrie on Canvas. So much to do, so little time to do it. At least that's what some of us say. But whatever busy schedule you may have, you should always make time for yourself, even if it's once a week. That may simply be painting or drawing or sculpting. No matter what creative outlet you choose, be sure to enjoy it, savor it, and let yourself go into the world of your own childlike imagination. Some simple ways to do that is to not overcomplicate what it is you are trying to create. So tonight we are going to paint a piece that is very easygoing, something that we can relax with or sort of go with the flow feel to it. So let's get started. Here's what you're going to need. Medium canvas, medium to large paintbrushes, assorted acrylic paints, paper towels or rags, water to keep your brushes clean, and don't forget to have fun and just go with it. So I just have a medium sized canvas, and basically I think it's about 11 by 14. And what I did is I just simply, I may not keep it this way, but just took charcoal so you guys could see kind of what I was going for. Very simple landscape. A lot of horizontal lines going on, a little bit of vertical. We're gonna just put some color on. This is just a piece that you could do in the morning with your coffee. You know, just go with the flow and relax. Not all of us have a lot of time to put in a big 36 by 48 piece, so this is something to get you started. I didn't tone it this time, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just start right from scratch. I'm going to basically use a lot of yellows, reds, and oranges. So starting off, we're going to take this bright red, and I'm just using some base colors here. Taking a little bit of yellow. And now I'll go with a little bit more, maybe a yellow ochre. And a little bit in here. And we'll come back through and kind of make the colors a little bit more defined as we work on the piece. Keep a rag handy so you can wipe your brush off when you need to. And I think I'm going to go ahead with this teal and just simply fill in the lines. Of course, you don't have to draw on your piece beforehand like I do. A lot of the times in my own studio when I'm by myself, I just wing it and then come back. Basically, I draw with the paint, so you can try that as well. Now we have the base colors for the ground. Now we're going to work on the sky. Wet my brush, work on a yellow, maybe a little bit of a white, and we're just applying the strokes pretty quick. I notice my paints are getting a little sticky, so be sure to spray your paints with your squirt bottle. Keep one handy with water, nothing else, and it would help to keep your paints moist and easier to flow through. Look how beautiful and bright that is. That would look so great in just a black frame like that. So we have some different colors going on, mainly a warm piece with a little bit of a cool tone to it. I'm gonna take my sponge. I use this little sponge to kind of create different textures. You can use bubble wrap, cardboard. I even have a comb And so you could do different things with it to kind of give it a little bit of interest to your piece. And what I like to do is just lightly drag some color down. You can do sideways, horizontal, but it just gives it a little bit of a different feel to it. Just like that. Okay, so I'm going to take this burnt sienna that I have and just lightly go over the edges of my piece and use my finger to blend. I love this color when used next to teal or with paintings that have teal in it. Okay. So now I think we'll get started on the trees, and basically I'm going to take a smaller brush here, not that small, this is small for me, and I'm going to just start with the trees and just kind of put some different colors in where the leaves would be. So maybe we'll go with a little bit of magenta to start, a nice orange. Even gold. Keeping it with the same colors that we're sort of using in the piece. Just coming down around the bottom with a little bit of blue. Adding my shadows. Now, I'm breaking up the color a bit. And I'll come back to that, but that just helps me break up the color so it's not so tightly woven. Now I'll take a black. I'm just going to start adding in the stems, or not stems, trunks. Okay, and I think it might be a good idea to put two more on the other side. See, I didn't draw that in there because I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it. But now that I see the piece and I'm kind of looking at it, that's how ideas start to evolve, and sometimes you just have to go with it. So I'm going to add just two more pieces over here, or two more trees. Taking a darker color, a little bit of violet. Scratch in a little bit. Now for my trunks. And you could do different kinds of trees if you want. You don't have to do trees like this. You can do tall pine trees, or, well, I don't really know any other trees. Living in Arkansas is about all we have. There. Now, let's see. I'm going to take this bright green and I'm going to just add it in and kind of separate these hillsides here. So you can easily add a light green or even a yellow to kind of highlight some light in there, just like that. And this, working on this, allows the trees to dry so that we can come back in with more detail. Don't be afraid to use your finger to blend. And if you get a little bit over the trunks, that's fine too, because we will come back And we're going to add light to our tree trunks. Finger to blend. Okay, now as that dries a little bit, we're going to go back to the very bottom. I'm going to go start on my red, and I think I'm going to use a little bit of red oxide down here. And we're just kind of filling back in where the land is, I like this horizontal shape that the base of the painting is creating. So I'm going to kind of keep going with that. I'm just adding in a little bit more color. This orange might be good. Okay, we'll come back with a little bit of yellow and some magenta. And we're just going back in where we were. Nice bright colors. All colors are friends of the teal and greens. So they naturally are going to go very well together. If you have trouble too deciding on how to mix your paint, just make it easy on yourself and go buy paint that's already mixed and very bright so that you don't have to worry about mixing it. Now, where I have this section here and I have this texture to it, I'm not going to go back over it because I like the way that it's formed. I like everything about it. And that is key to when you're learning how to paint, is to recognize what you like and what you don't like, so you can easily look at your piece and be able to, you know, figure out, well, I think I'm going to leave this spot looks good. For instance, this yellow right here on top looks really good. I'm not going to go over it. But over here I'm not really happy with this situation here. It's a good way to kind of recognize, and it comes with time, but a good way to recognize how and when to stop on your paintings. So I'm coming back in with a yellow-orange azo, and we're just going to tie in some more colors here. And same with this side, just around here. Oh, I got a little bit of black on there, but that's okay. So it's also important to carry your colors through your piece. So I'm not just going to make this the only teal that's going to be in my piece. The teal is going to be throughout the piece. Same with the other colors. You just want to kind of create a circle of colors in your piece. Very laid back. It's a very low-key, easy piece to do. And all I'm doing basically to carry my colors through, for instance, in the tree here, I'm not going to have my color stopping. So I'm just going to carry it over, just like that. There we go. Now I really like that top part where the yellow is, so I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to mess with it. And we're going to come back to, I think we will come back to the trees. I'm going to add some more to them. So we have a little bit of violet, great color with all the golds. Keep your color wheel handy. That's another thing. If you are having trouble picking out your colors and you're not sure, use your color wheel. Look for your complementary colors. Start off with maybe just 2. And then when you feel more comfortable, you can work your way up to split complementary. You could go on from there. And then you'll start to get more familiar with how colors blend and what looks well together and what doesn't. And it'll become like second nature to you when you're painting. Another thing that I find really, really helpful is, especially when you're trying to use a loose and free method, is to not necessarily paint the same colors that's in the picture. If you're using an image, you don't want to try to use the same colors. We don't want to paint a photograph. That's what photographs are for. So you can look at the photograph for the image, but use your own colors. That'll really help. Okay, so we have this bright red down here, and I'm just going to carry it on up through the trees. Okay, maybe a little bit more on this one. All right, and then we have a little bit of a darker red, and this is kind of where we're carrying our colors through. Trees can be so many different colors, so we're going to just carry our colors through, let our trees be the one that tie us all in. Okay. And now while we just go ahead and let that dry a little bit, and we will come back to it, we're going to work on a little bit more of the ground. So I have this, it's not necessarily a teal, it's a different color. It's from a new paint that I ordered, Soho. It's a very different paint, it's very bright, and they have very odd colors that I'm not used to, but I find them a lot of fun to work with. So I'm taking this bright green, and I'm just going to kind of add it in where the trees are, right below the trees. And then I'm going to take a little bit of purple, and I'm just going to slightly add a little bit of shadow where my trees are. And I watered the brush a little bit so it wouldn't make the paint really thick. Okay. And now back to the skinny brush. And this is where our trunks come in, where we can kind of create some light. So we already have the black lining on the trunks. We know where they are. That's great. So let's add some light to it. We're going to take some white, and we're just simply going to highlight an area where the light is coming in. Well, this one's pretty wet over here, so it's not going to show up as well. Use the other end of your brush too when you need to scratch in. That's going to be very helpful, especially if you have a line or stroke that's too thick. Another thing is the teal, or you can use a bright red, lime green, any color you want, and that's another one that's kind of good to add in on your trunks. Okay, and let's see. I think we might go with, well, we'll go ahead and add bright red so you can see what it looks like. But what we'll do is we'll just add it next to the teal. There. And it's just very subtle little strokes, but you can see that just those little strokes like that can make a difference. And now I'm going to add some more black, and what I'm doing is I'm just taking it along the bottom part of the trees, the base of the trees, creating a darker shadow just in certain areas. It's a nice contrast to the bright colors. And same with this one. Paint's getting a little thick, so it's hard to move around. But we'll do here, and we'll do some here. And then just slightly follow it down to the bottom. Okay, and then we'll work on the same with the other side. We're gonna add a little bit of black. Just a little bit on the trunks. And it's as simple as that. Okay. All right, so we need some more teal. And what I'm doing is just creating more contrast, more interest to the piece, carrying my color throughout. If you used a bright blue instead of teal or a yellow green instead of teal, then try to carry that piece through your trees as well. Okay. And now I'm going to take a little bit of burnt sienna, and I'm just going to kind of add a little bit of branches maybe, or I don't know, something that's just kind of slightly hanging out of the trees. Maybe I need to go with something lighter, maybe a yellow ochre, that would be good. So yellow ochre, and I'm just creating maybe lighter leaves where the sun's hitting, kind of glowing off the sun. And I'll scratch through so it ties it in together. Okay, now back to the teal. We're going to just add some here through our lines. And I think I'm going to leave the other part, so we'll leave that. I don't want to do too much to the bottom. See, that's where you get into the overcomplicating that I was talking about. You can easily overcomplicate a piece when you start doing way too much. So I'm stopping right there, and I'm just going to go back to my teal and try to maybe blend it and maybe add a little bit more light right here in the center. So we will start with yellow and teal mixed together, make a nice lime color. I might even just add some through the trees. Ooh, I like it. That's good. Nice colors. And I think, you know, that's why I love these bright colors so much. It reminds me of being a kid. I mean, I never, ever colored with lots of browns or grays when I was a child. Everything was bright and cheery. And so I tend to hang on to that. And, you know, they always say, do what makes you happy. So that's why I paint the way I do and paint the colors I do. Coming back up here with this yellow-green, I'm just going up above the teal landscape right here, or hillside. There. And then I'm gonna just kind of blend it with my finger a little bit. All right, I like that much better. Okay, and then another thing to do is we can add a little bit, I have too much on my brush, a little bit of red as well. See, sometimes it's just those slight little strokes that make the big difference. And I'm just adding more texture in because I like to do that. You don't have to do that, and you don't have to use your brush. You can use different things. And maybe a little bit through here. Okay. Now, one more thing I want to try is I like to create a lot of light coming from the bottom part of the landscape, right up where, imagine looking over a hillside and you see a lot of the sun coming up or the sun going down. So I try to add a lot of light, and it gives it a nice focal point as well. Could even go with a little more. Remember to carry it through too. We don't want it stopping just at the trees since we have trees right there. And you know it might be helpful also. See, as you start to paint and start to work, you start to see things like, oh, this might work, this might be great. So I'm gonna take a little bit of white and I'm just gonna add a little bit on the edges of the trees. And then break it up a little bit. And perhaps we add just a little right through there. And that's that. Very simple. I hope you enjoyed painting with me tonight and sort of get a feel for what it means to keep things simple. Sometimes you can say so much more with keeping it loose and free rather than overwhelming it with detail and organization. And after all, isn't there enough detail in our everyday life that we have to worry about? So what if you take a couple of hours out of your week to just say, you know what, I just want to paint whatever I want. Give yourself that time you need to just be you. Paint like no one is watching. Paint as if you are the only person in the world. You'll be surprised at how liberating it feels to just be free with yourself and create whatever your imagination desires. So go for it and go crazy. And if you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear from you. So feel free to email me at soverykarrie@cox.net, or you can go to my website at karrievensonart.com. Please join me again at Monday and Saturday evenings at 7:30 right here on Jones Television, Channel 22, or visit us at jonestv.org. Until then, I'm Karrie Evenson, and you've been watching Karrie on Canvas.